Well, good evening, and welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening television news. We're broadcasting live and available on demand. And of course, we're available on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, and of course, YouTube and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. It's Thursday, October 13th, 2022. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Al Ferguson. We are broadcasting from the NSU Art Museum in downtown Fort Lauderdale. We are here for a very special edition of Queer News Tonight at the OUTshine Film Festival. This 10-day festival opens tonight, and we are going to tell you about its highlights and details of one of America's most important LGBTQ plus film festivals. Before that, this evening, we are going to bring you the news of and a perspective representing the LGBTQ plus community from South Florida, America, and across our planet.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBTQ plus news, you will see it and hear it.
Happening Out Television Network is a 501c3 nonprofit media platform in the television and radio models of PBS and NPR, but designed for our LGBTQ plus community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus media companies in America, Hotspots magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
Our magazine is celebrating 36 years of the LGBTQ plus experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ plus and broader community.
Well, let's begin by welcoming anchor FayWhat. She is a radio and television personality and has a popular blog and YouTube channel aiming to unite the L and the G together. She's a hostess and MC for many South Florida events, an animal advocate, and owner of Faye's Fur Family. Also, make sure to catch the FayWhat Show, the first LGBTQ plus morning show Mondays at 9 a.m. Eastern, online, and of course, on your smart television. Good evening, Faye.
Hi, good evening, boys. I'm so happy to be here. You know, that today we're talking about the OUTshine Film Festival, which is one of my favorite events of the year. My second favorite is the Task Force Dinner. And so we've got representation of that here too. So it's going to be an incredible show today. I've had too much coffee. I will calm down. I'll take a breath. Let's welcome John. All right, let's welcome anchor John Hayden. He's a journalist for 27 years, and he now works for several outlets, including South Florida Gay News, as a reporter and community editor, covering politics, entertainment, and local events directly impacting the LGBTQ plus community. John's interviewed everyone from presidents to Oscar winners and has been on more red carpets than he can count. For Halloween, he plans on hanging a piece of plywood around his neck and telling everyone he's bored. Yes. Welcome, John. How are you, puppy?
Thank you, Faye. You know what? I am not bored tonight. I can tell you that. We are getting the party started here. You can hear the DJ behind us.
We're definitely live.
Probably we are most definitely live, and you will see and hear. So it's going to be so much fun. There's going to be screenings for like the next 10 days. So we're going to have so incredibly much fun, and I'm just so glad to be able to be here with this team and kick it off. But before we kick it off any further, we're going to welcome anchor Dr. Julio Capo Jr. He is a history professor and the deputy director of the Wilsonian Public Humanities Lab at FIU. He specializes in the history of race relations and immigration in the United States, as well as LGBTQ plus studies. He is an author of the book, Welcome to Fairyland, Queer Miami Before 1940, and has curated an exhibition called Messages from a Pandemic, AIDS Graphic Communication. Good evening, Julio.
I love your Halloween costume idea. I think it's really clever. I can't wait to show you what I'm going to be.
How about you be an award winner? Congratulations on the award you got today.
Stop. I got called a top scholar.
I was like, they might take that award back.
That adjective is rarely assigned.
That is not rarely, really just not. How dare you?
How
They
dare you?
call me out on truth.
Yeah.
I love being in this space. This is so much fun, and I can't wait to have.
Congratulations
Oh,
to you.
thank you so much. Well, that too. Thank you so much. Thank you. You know what? Let's welcome anchor Ryan Hurst. Ryan is the marketing and fundraising manager for the National LGBTQ Task Force. Thanks for all the work you do. He has worked in social justice for over 10 years with organizations like Lanza Legal Defense and Education Fund and People for the American Way Foundation. He also serves as the vice president of Florida State University Pride Alumni Network. Come on. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you all for having me. I'm so excited to be here. The National LGBTQ Task Force Gala is on October 22nd at the Miami Beach Convention Center. Make sure to get your tickets now at thetaskforcegala.org. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Thursday, October 13th, 2022.
Well, let's begin by clearing up breaking news. South Florida mayor sends town attorney homophobic TikTok. There has been a new development this week in an ongoing and highly public feud between two top officials in a South Broward town of about 7,000 people. Pembroke Park's town attorney says she fears for her safety after the mayor texted her a video she called homophobic and misogynistic. Mayor Jeffrey Jacobs, however, says he sent the TikTok video by mistake. Anderson has filed a police report and a complaint with the town Human Resources Department and said in an email to Local 10 News that she believes Jacobs' harassment constitutes a crime under Broward County Code and state law and intends to contact Broward County's Office of the Inspector General. According to its website, the watchdog agency investigates allegations of misconduct, including fraud, corruption, and abuse, and gross mismanagement by officials and employees of the charter government of Broward County and its 31 municipalities. Anderson and Jacobs have had multiple public spats at town commission meetings, and Jacobs has openly called for her firing. However, the commission voted 2-1 to retain Anderson. The two were recently at odds over the town's decision to launch the new police department amid an acrimonious split with the Broward Sheriff's Office, which had provided police services to the town for more than 4 decades. Both Anderson and Jacobs declined Local 10's request for an on-camera interview. This news is very significant, as Pembroke Park, and in fact all of Broward County, has one of the largest LGBTQ plus communities in the nation. Queer News Tonight will continue to follow this story. It's surprising. My understanding of this is that he shared a TikTok video that referred to a masculine lesbian in the TikTok video, and that the mayor sent it to her by mistake, thinking he was sending it to another commissioner. Even if that's true and it was a mistake, the issue of being homophobic and then misogynistic is something that I know now is probably going to be highly investigated.
Oh, but doesn't that suck? Like, I feel bad for him. I know that he grossly negligent on his part to send that, okay? But haven't we all sent something to the wrong person by mistake? Like, you're thinking of somebody, but you type in somebody else, you know? I mean, it's a mistake, but I mean, it's just an awful mistake that he's going to have to pay for, unfortunately.
But it's when your soul leaves your body after hitting send,
or after hitting reply all.
And it's it's a mistake that I think shows insight into his true character.
I think
who
that's right.
he really is.
I think that's right.
You know, and I believe David, one of our producers, said that he said, "This is our town attorney," or something like that. So he was absolutely targeting him.
Right.
The only openly gay senator, state senator in the state, Chev Jones, and friend of the show, great guy, great advocate for our community. He is weighing in today. He jumped into it today, and he emailed me. We must rise above the fray as politicians and hold ourselves to a higher standard and abstain from personal attacks against those with whom we disagree. Unfortunately, Mayor Jacob chose to conduct himself in a manner that falls well short of that standard. Simply put, there is no place for this kind of conduct in any workplace, period. And that says it right there.
State Senator
right, State Senator Trevor Jones. To the point that he just made, okay, we're talking about a city government. But if this was Tourist Bank, or this was any Fortune 500 company, wouldn't this rise to the fact of a termination through HR?
Instant, packing up his box for him and walking him out.
Yeah.
And I think it would constitute as harassment under most bases.
Well, and again, of course, she's going to take it a little extra, and I understand, for her to say that now she feels threatened, now she feels like, something could happen to her, and those feelings are legit. You've got to take them as valid points. I mean, she was the one who received this TikTok.
And it was homophobic, and it was sexist.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, well, we're going to follow this story closely. One last thing. Yes. Does it shock anyone that this would happen in Broward County? I mean, we're not the Florida Panhandle, after all. Does it surprise you that this is a city in Broward County?
No.
No.
Really? Wow.
That's west of the Turnpike, so you take what you get.
Okay, all right.
We move on and we clear up politics. LGBTQ White House staff marks National Coming Out Day. LGBTQ plus staff at the White House took a group photo and posted it to mark National Coming Out Day on Tuesday. They posted on the official White House Twitter account. Message with it said, on National Coming Out Day, the Biden-Harris administration celebrates the courage of the LGBTQI plus community and reaffirms that LGBTQI rights plus are human rights, end quote. National Coming Out Day dates back to the late 80s and has grown in profile with each decade. Another member of the White House team also shared her own story of this event. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre is the first out gay woman and the first black woman to occupy the role. At the start of Tuesday's White House press briefing, he said, quote, like so many in the LGBTQ plus community, coming out wasn't an easy thing to do. My family was traditional and conservative. Being gay in my family wasn't something you mentioned out loud or celebrated. But my family, like many families, grew to accept who I was. Who I loved didn't change who I was as a person. Didn't change the things I liked to do, and it didn't change the goals I had for my life, end quote. Vice President Harris was among the allies to post messages in celebration of Coming Out Day, tweeting, quote, I celebrate our LGBTQI plus community this National Coming Out Day. Never doubt that you are loved and appreciated for being exactly who you are, end quote. And I could make the obvious point, like what a difference from 2 years ago when, there was no recognition whatsoever. But it's Karine Jean-Pierre's story that just has moved me. And it's moved me since she took over in the role earlier this year. She is so poised and professional and gay. Like, she's everything that we want to represent our community. And I do. I love her.
She's taking on Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham. So you have to admire her.
And with a straight face.
Exactly.
Like, she doesn't look scared. I love that.
Yeah.
She's so smart. I'd say I'm with you. Like her comment is so powerful because it also resonates with people and allows space for people to grow. That it's like that acceptance sometimes looks a lot of different ways, and she makes room for people to be a lot of different things. And like her statement is really powerful. And
She made it so relatable, right?
So
Like,
relatable.
she made it like so real. She didn't make it, I came out and everything was hunky-dory and beautiful, which is not usually the story that we tell, you know?
President Biden deserves a lot of credit for where we are as an LGBTQ movement. I mean, if you remember, when he was vice president under President Obama, he got a lot of criticism because he came out in support of marriage equality ahead of President Obama.
Yes.
Before Obama evolved.
Yeah, absolutely.
One other thing before we move on that I think is important. When I saw that picture, the thing that washed over me, John makes the point, Faye does too, that Jean-Pierre is motivational. And I completely agree with you. But the motivation for me of this story was the collectiveness of the picture. We are the White House, and then you see all of these people and all of these faces, and they're not advocating for special rights. They're not advocating for special recognition. They're just advocating of saying, we're here. Yeah. And I thought that that was very motivational.
Very true. Yeah. Next up, we queer up the USA view. GLAAD ads remind LGBTQ plus voters what's at stake in November 8th midterm elections.
When the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade, we both looked at each other and said, I think our family could be at risk.
When we fought for marriage equality, we never thought that we would be at risk of having it taken away. Walking down the aisle was very special and something I never imagined would happen for me.
We can no longer take for granted the rights that we thought were our protections. And marriage equality could be next.
We all have to turn out to vote. It's important for all families.
The stakes are high for LGBTQ plus Americans in this November's election, as 2 new ads from GLAAD are reminding voters. The ads released Wednesday highlight the threat to marriage equality and the continuing attack on transgender youth. They will air nationwide on digital and broadcast media. The election will determine control of Congress and many state and local races. It comes at a time when Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas has said the court's 2015 marriage equality ruling should be reversed, as he wrote in a statement when the court overturned Roe v. Wade, which had guaranteed the right to abortion nationwide. A bill that would write marriage equality into federal law is pending in Congress. Meanwhile, several states have enacted anti-trans laws and policies, particularly targeting young people. GLAAD President and CEO Sarah K. Ellis said in a press release, quote, "The stakes could not be higher. Every LGBTQ person and every one of our allies must hear the warning in these ads and make a plan to vote. The legal protection of our marriages is at risk and marriage equality is on the ballot. We urgently need everyone to speak up for LGBTQ people with their votes to protect our marriages, our children, our families, and our futures," end quote.
Do you want to meet a family with a transgender kid? Here we are. There are some politicians who are trying to tear my family apart simply because my son is transgender. Trans kids don't have a political agenda. They are just kids. They just want to be left alone. They have the same hopes and dreams and deserve the same equality as your child does. My family's just like yours. We love our kids unconditionally, and we will never stop fighting for them. Stand with us.
Make a plan to vote before Election Day.
You know, ads like this are so important, and kudos to GLAAD for getting them out, because I mean, our community needs to know. We're here screaming and yelling about this, yet every time I talk to like some people I haven't seen in a while, they're like dead. They have no understanding of like what's going on and what's at stake come November 8th. I'm sick of seeing Governor DeSantis's commercials 20 times a day of his stupid ass wife crying about her cancer. No offense, I had cancer, I can say that. You know, so like it's like over and over again. We need these ads to be out there 20 times a day on all types of forums and spotlights, because this is what people need to see. A lot of our community is literally like dead to this and doesn't know that what's at stake coming up in a couple of weeks.
You know, our voice is our vote is our voice and our power in our democracy. So we have got to use it. Over 300 anti-LGBT bills were proposed across the nation this past year. We do not change and take back state legislatures, school boards, city councils, keep control of both houses of Congress. We're in a lot of trouble.
Yep. And you know, marriage equality isn't the only thing stuck right now in the Congress. The Equality Act is also stuck there. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz from Florida, was in Wilton Manors last night. I went to go hear her speak, and she's saying, these are all things that have moved out of the House, and we've got to get them passed now, because we're not going to get another bite at the apple. We're probably going to lose Democrat control of the House in November, so we've got to keep the Senate. And it's so important to vote, and as well as at the school board level, like the story said, at the state House level. We've got to get these votes out, because what little margin of error we have for power right now is probably going to go away.
You know, a final thought, at 20,000 feet, Ryan, you represent the National Task Force and their dinner next Saturday night. I think about you and the National Task Force in this story of what GLAAD is doing. You're getting ready to do red, white, and you as an illustration to say, if you show up, we win. If you don't show up, we lose.
Yes.
And raising money. So many times I'm asked, well, why today do we need to support organizations like GLAAD or the HRC or the National Task Force or SAVE or Equality Florida? Because our rights are under attack. And that's the reason why. And that's the reason why these ads are so incredibly important.
All right, let's queer up gay culture. Because of gun murders, the number of trans homicides doubles in just 4 years. The number of homicides with transgender people nearly doubled between 2017 and 2021, driven primarily by killings with firearms, according to a leading anti-gun violence group. According to an Every Town for Gun Safety report released on Tuesday, the known transgender killings increased 93% from 29 in 2017 to 56 in 2021, and 73% of those people were killed with a firearm. The purpose of the report is to analyze the effects of gun violence on LGBTQ+ communities. The Everytown report found that Black transgender people, especially transgender women, were killed at a particularly disproportionate rate, echoing previous analysis that the trans community faces higher rates of violence. According to the report, 73% of tracked homicides between 2017 and 2021 were of Black trans women, though they make up only an estimated 13% of the transgender population. Overall, homicides in the United States rose by 20.6% from 2017 to 2020, growing from 19,510 to 24,576, according to data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC. Citing a June brief from the Department of Justice that drew on data from 2017 to 2020, Everytown reported that LGBTQ+ people were more likely than other groups to be victims of violence. This is such a sobering, very difficult report to make, and yet it is so important. And it goes back to our previous story, right? What's at stake at this election is also gun control, right? That is, gun control is an LGBTQ+ issue. Immigration is an LGBT. Like, we so often kind of, think about these things in terms of same-sex marriage, but that these issues affect LGBTQ communities and such, especially LGBTQ people of color.
And to that point, one of the interesting things in a new Gallup poll of what the issues are for this election, the culture war issues of LGBT do not even appear. They do not even appear as 1% of America considering it. Of the culture war issues, the only thing that appears on the list is abortion, 8%. But all of the other issues related to economy, jobs, guns, immigration, they are all the issues that the electorate is considering. And your point is really true. Those are also LGBT issues, and we do a very poor job of making the broad community understand, wait, we're affected by guns. Wait, we're affected by the economy. Wait, we're affected by fill in the blank. It is much more complex than just gay culture war issues.
And you know what else happened between 2017 and 2021? Donald Trump and his rhetoric. And it fueled it and it fired it. And Al, I don't think we have to, it's going too far to draw a straight line from one to the other.
Yeah.
I think we also have to take our own ownership in this also, because part of the reason this issue doesn't get more attention is because we as an LGBTQ community don't give it enough attention. Too much of the LGBTQ community is still dominated by cis, white, gay men who don't pay attention to this issue. I want to call out the National Black Justice Coalition that does excellent work. They have an initiative called the Stolen Lives Campaign that brings awareness and draws attention to trans women of color who are murdered at a disproportionate rate. They also do training with the federal government and federal law enforcement to help solve crimes that are committed against LGBTQ people. You'd be surprised how often when a trans person is the victim of a violent crime, the police show up in the community with a photo of that person from a previous identity 20 years ago and a name that no one knows them by. Yeah.
Ryan, we're going to, I've been looking forward to this story you're getting ready to tell us.
I'm looking forward to it too. Let's queer up gay culture. Hotspots happening out broadcast Mr. Gay World USA. Here's amazing steamy photos of winner Tony Cannoli. In March 2023, the next Mr. Gay World USA will be held here in Fort Lauderdale and broadcast live by Happening Out Television Network. Tony Ardolino, also known as Tony Cannoli, will be traveling across the U.S. for the upcoming Mr. Gay World pageant. Cannoli and the other participants are already in South Africa for the event. And while we have to wait until Friday to find out if Cannoli will now be the gayest in the world, here's a little bit about our fearless queen. After high school, Cannoli moved to Los Angeles, where he did commercials with actors like David Hasselhoff and the Mistress of Dark herself, Elvira. Then he spent 2 years in Singapore, working for Universal. He's also toured with musicals Grease and Happy Days. Cannoli started his pageant life by going for Mr. Gay Maine, which he won. After, he went on to win Mr. Gay World USA, which was broadcast by Hotspots Happening Out Television from our home studio at Sunshine Cathedral. He told Out in Jersey in a recent interview, quote, "What drew me to this was it wasn't cookie cutter. There were different races, body types, and ages. And I wanted to be part of it because I'm brand new to the world of pageants." End quote. First of all, have you looked up pictures of Tony Cannoli yet? He is hot. Hot, 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 but he's also the full package. He's done movies, he's an actor, he's an author.
Very full package.
Yes.
Quite a big cannoli.
Oh my, big cannoli. But he also has a mentorship program called My Big Gay Brother, which I think is amazing.
So cute.
Yeah.
I like him even more. And I was just looking at his cannoli.
And he was crowned here. Al and I were at the pageant at Sunshine that weekend, and he was such a great guy. But what I remember most about him, aside from his cannoli, is that he had his parents in the audience. They had come all the way down from Maine. They had spent the week with him down here and were such big supporters. And I was just like, oh my God, I want to marry you.
Yeah.
So cool. Has a
And
gay...
John actually stalked him for several days.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
Has anyone in South Florida ever won this, Mr.
No.
Gay World?
Oh, wow.
Really? God, I see, like, our own Raul
Mr.
Vega.
Gay,
You know Raul
Florida.
Vega, right?
Yeah.
He's a friend of the show. I love Raul. He
Yeah,
just
great.
did a pageant where he won runner-up. You got gypped, my brother. He could win this. I mean, look at these pictures. Wow. And Mr. Cannoli is hot, though. He has this, like, William Levy thing going on, right?
You actually saw him. He was in the Stonewall Pride Parade. He was up and he stopped, and the car stopped, and he yelled at us, and he said, "Ow!" Yeah, that's.
You sure he didn't say FayWhat?
Yeah, no, he did.
Oh, no,
Definitely.
okay.
He wasn't interested in
Raul will be
FayWhat.
at the gala. We've got to lobby him. I'm calling it right now. Let's organize
Let's
for
do it.
lobbying him.
Let's do it.
Let's hold with the time change. It may have already happened. I'm not quite sure, but it's going on right now. The pageant in South Africa. All the luck to our Mr. Gay USA contestant. We'll tell you Monday exactly what happened. Next up, let's queer up entertainment. In honor of OUTshine Film Festival and Halloween, the 20 hellishly hot horror movie Hunks. Okay, a movie story. We're at the OUTshine Film Festival and it's Halloween. Here we go. The horror genre is scary and often disgusting, but mixed up with all that gore and blood and death is actually a lot of sexiness. Whether it's a handsome serial killer, or a shirtless hunk running from the said killer, or a hot dad fighting against evil. Wait, is this all about me? Many horror films include some, quite frankly, very sexy men. Considering Halloween is just around the corner and the OUTshine Film Festival is starting tonight right here in Fort Lauderdale, let's look at a few of the famous hunks that horror movies have to offer. We begin with Winston Duke as Gabe Wilson in Us. Then, of course, there's Colin Farrell. He was on Saturday Night Live, Saturday night, by the way, as Jerry Dandridge in Fright Night. It was great. Toby Hemingway, Chase Crawford, Taylor Kish, and Stephen Strait in The Covenant. How can we not add Stephen Lang as the blind man in Don't Breathe? Then there's one of the sexiest Hollywood actors on the planet, Christian Bale as Patrick Bateman in American Psycho. I love Christian Bale. I love his accent. The man with zero haters on this planet and tequila drinker. Ryan Reynolds as George Lutz in the Amityville Horror remake. Chris Hemsworth has been in a horror movie. Remember him as Kurt in Cabin in the Woods? And he died in it, by the way. Then there is Skeet Ulrich as Billy Loomis and Matthew Lillard as Stu from the old classic Scream. And when I say old classic, only John remembers that. One of the loved Asian actors, Don Lee, as Shang Wei in Train to Busan. And how can we ever forget Ryan Phillippe as Barry in one of the popular thrillers, I Know What You Did Last Summer. I haven't seen that movie in eons.
Love that.
At last but not least, of course, Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise as Louis and Lestat in Interview with a Vampire. Favorite horror, sexy characters?
I want the blind guy.
Do you?
I want the blind guy to kill me and have sex with me. That way I don't have to do my makeup.
Oh.
What? What? Nobody else thought that? What do you mean?
Have you all seen the new Interview with the Vampire?
Yeah!
I was thinking
We're obsessed. We're obsessed.
You
Ryan.
watched
Like,
episode
really.
1?
Oh my gosh.
Sex in the air?
Beautiful, hot, romantic.
Okay, so Brad Pitt and from 1994 or 2022? Which ones are hotter?
Ooh. Oh God, 1994 Brad Pitt, but 22 now versus now Brad Pitt.
Faye and I did It's Happening Out last night, and we did a whole thing on the Interview with the Vampire of AMC's new series. We showed a lot of pictures, a lot of video imaging of Interview with the Vampire, and just yesterday, Facebook would ban our channel, and YouTube would turn us into an adult channel if we showed that scene of elevating off the ground and them having sex. And what's so interesting about that, I just tease everyone to go and watch it, because you see nothing. You see absolutely nothing. But both Facebook and YouTube said, this is so hot, you can't show it or you become adult entertainment. Wait, we don't see anything. It's so hot.
It's still hot. We need a season 2, so please.
They're ready. They're going to have a season 2. They said that they are.
They fully approved it before even the first. Child, what? Are you
I
a
am
gay
so
man?
behind.
He's busy with the task force. He's busy.
Oh, okay.
Very busy.
All
Doing
right.
very
He's got a
important
very
work.
big
All
gala.
right. We
Okay?
forgive you
right.
until October 23rd, and then get
Then you
back
better
in
watch
the game.
everything.
Right.
Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we usually broadcast from our permanent set at Sunshine Cathedral. We usually broadcast at our permanent set at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out Television Studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m. with more than 30,000 watching every week.
I'm Karina Iglesias, a top 16 contestant on NBC's The Voice. The music industry is a variety of styles, types, and rhythms, and that is what fills our lives. That's why I understand diversity is so incredibly important in our LGBTQ community. And that's why Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
All right, now we move on, we queer up entertainment, and the whole reason we're here tonight, the OUTshine Film Festival. And I'm going to look at the OUTshine Film Festival men's spotlight film and party in the movie In From the Side, which is going to be this Saturday. OUTshine Film Festival is going to show In From the Side under its men's spotlight category this Saturday, October 15th at 7:30 at the Gateway Cinema here in Fort Lauderdale. It's a great theater to watch movies in. The movie is directed by Matt Carter, and it is an official selection from the UK. It is a sports, gay, drama, and romance. That's my entire life. Sports, gay, drama, and sometimes romance. When an injured rugby player from the A team is selected to play with the Bees as part of his recovery, initial suspicion turns to physical lust for the two members of the team. Personal loyalties are stretched as they try to conceal their affair, not only from their own partners, but also from their teammates. Hard drinking and macho antics are par for the course amongst the team, but these bulky athletes soon reveal their vulnerabilities. Even if you've never played rugby or even had a taste for it, you'll be drawn into the drama of these young men. The movie is a muddy, sweat-drenched, emotional thrill ride and will be screened in person only at the Gateway. To book a ticket, you can visit the official website of OUTshine Film Festival. It's $35 and includes the screening of In From the Side at Gateway and the and the Rugby Hunks themed after party at the Carriage House at historic Richardson Park. And you know, the A team, the B team, I play for the D team. Trust me on that. And I really just want to go to the after party. I want rugby players and the after party.
The D team for
That's
the
it.
D. Okay. Rugby. I don't know about it. How do you play rugby? Is there like a ball involved or some stuff? The only thing I
Oh,
know-
there's a ball involved.
I bet there's quite a few balls.
There's a scrum.
There's a scrotum?
A scrum.
Oh, a scrum. Don't most rugby players not have teeth, or that doesn't matter to you boys?
Well, they get replaced. And the reason they lose
I
their
was gonna
teeth
say maybe
is because
that's
it's so physical.
That could be a plus, right? I'm just, hey. I also am always here for a gay sports drama. I feel like that also kind of feels like my life. Not
You're
that
a softball player.
I'm so
You're a
butch. I'm
tennis
very,
player.
I'm a
Very
jock.
good. She's like a butch lesbian.
Wait,
I'm
you're a
like-
jock?
I mean, kinda. I mean, I don't look like one,
Wait.
but I am.
No.
Kinda. Also, those adjectives were very well read. I just
Right?
need to give it to you for reading muddy. Like, I mean, all of these fun. Well done.
I wanted it like slower, right? I wanted to
Slower.
close my eyes and not see John. You know what I mean?
I also would rather never see John.
Right. Let's just real quick FYI, I was with John this week when he got picked up right in front of me. Oop, I'm sorry. Did I reveal
Oh,
that?
girl.
Hayden.
Yeah. Let's talk about the OUTshine Film Festival for a moment. This festival is really cool because it's really two festivals. In the spring, the festival is across the border. You have to bring your passport with you.
Where I live in Miami.
Oh, yeah, you live there.
I don't. I
You
live here in Fort
don't.
Lauderdale
You work
now.
there.
I do work
But
there.
he has to have his passport to cross the border every day. And it's in the spring, the Miami edition of OUTshine Film Festival. And then that's in April. And then in October, tonight's the launch here at the NSU Museum of Art, is the October version here, or the October version here in Fort Lauderdale. It's very cool because it embraces both giant LGBTQ communities. The reason I'm here tonight is because there's a ton of people that'll be crossing the border northbound out of
Boys,
our...
Yeah. Huh. So let's talk about the girls, all right? Let's continue with Queering Up Entertainment. OUTshine Film Festival Ladies Brunch and Ladies Short program at Bubbles and Pearls Sunday, October 16th. The Where the Girls Are Ladies Shorts program at OUTshine Film Festival will be held on Sunday, October 16th at 3 p.m. The same movies will be streamed for virtual audiences from October 17th through the 19th. The venue for the in-person screening will be Gateway Cinemas, Fort Lauderdale. The brunch will screen different short films such as Static Space, Exemplar, Masquerade Mirage, and Supernova. Static Space is about Jamie, a young woman living in rural Indiana struggling to figure out her place and identity. Exemplar is about a young dancer named Eden and how her loneliness drives her to a sensitive and inspiring dance teacher in hopes of gaining the closeness she so desperately needs. Masquerade is about a woman who returns to her hometown in search of healing, and what she discovers instead shapes her. Mirage is a movie about a woman who receives a mysterious letter and how the past seeps into her present. Supernova is about a woman astronaut, Nova, who is selected as the commander-in-chief of the first mission to Mars. OUTshine Ladies Brunch will be hosted by Clear News Tonight anchor and Bravo Top Chef, Chef Josie, at Bubbles and Pearls at 1 p.m., followed by the screenings of the Ladies Shorts program at Gateway Cinemas at 3 p.m. Tickets are available for only $14. So much stuff there. I love, one of my favorite parts of this is the lady shorts. Like, because sometimes, we all have ADD, right? And the shorts are like about 10-minute long, 10-minute long. So it's like 2 hours of incredible short films done and for women. And it's just, I love it. And I love that Josie has stepped up and also going to do the brunch at Bubbles and Pearls beforehand, which is an iconic place for lesbians as it is for everybody. But, for that day, it's going to be all about the girls. And I love that. It's going to be together. And the ticket is also cheap as well.
What is there not to love? That sounds so much fun. And I agree with you. To tell a story in a short is not easy. And these are so well done. It's so, you could tell a powerful narrative in a story in such a short period because it's good storytelling. It's good plot. And Chef Josie is amazing, and Bubble and Pearls is one of my favorite places on this planet. The food there is incredible.
What's also interesting, Dino Mascara is an anchor at Queer News Tonight.
How dare you?
How dare you? He clutches his pearls, right? He is part of the selection process of films for OUTshine Film Festival. And one of the things that I think OUTshine does a absolutely fabulous job about, we talk about in Wilton Manor, for example, all the time. We're very white, we're very gay, and we, for the most part, are older white men. The film festival, I think, has done a really terrific job of going, wait, let's not forget the girls, let's not forget trans, let's not forget people of color, let's embrace the diversity in the community. And so the OUTshine Film Festival has 65 plus parties and films, mostly films, of course, representing the entire community. And this is an example of it. I would go to this event because it's in Bubbles and Pearls. We all love Chef Josie. But I think it's really a fabulous idea to all of the older white guys that they're trying to attract to Gateway to go, well, sample these shorts and see how it is, and combine a lot of different short films. That's really a clever marketing ploy to lure us into the dark side.
Laura, you might enjoy it over there.
I might enjoy it over there. All right, well, we'll see. It sounds fun. Lots of diversity at OUTshine. Well, next, let's continue queering up entertainment. The OUTshine Film Festival's big event is the Centerpiece Film and Party, the international male story. Now wait, you got the girl story, I get the international male story. Life is good. Thursday, October 20th. This year's OUTshine Film Festival's centerpiece film is going to be the international male story, followed by a party, of course. The film's in-person screening will be on October 20 at 7 p.m. at Savor Cinema, which is in downtown Fort Lauderdale, and it will be streamed from October 21st to the 23rd if you can't get to it. It's directed by Brian Darling and Jesse Finley Reed. This movie is the official entry from the United States. It is a gay historical documentary. The film journeys across 3 decades of the international male's catalogs, unlikely but lasting impact on fashion, masculinity, and sexuality in America. Gene Burkhardt, a once closeted Midwesterner and GI, found freedom in San Diego, where he transformed men's fashion into something cosmopolitan, carefree, and trendsetting. This character-driven documentary crafts a portrait of a band of outsiders who changed the definition of masculinity, the way men would look at themselves and each other, and how the world would see them. This is their story, a modern-day fairy tale about a dream that did come true. The in-person tickets for this movie of the featured spotlight are available at $35 on the OUTshine website, and the virtual movie tickets are just $14 each. The ticket allows you entry for the film at the Savor Cinema, followed by the Centerpiece after party. It's going to also be there on the patio. This is one of the films I'm really looking forward to. We were talking about older white men. This movie is written for me as a documentary. In the 1970s, gay men that either didn't know they were gay yet or in no way wanted anyone to know that they were gay, participated in the International Male Catalog. It was mailed to your home quarterly, and it included all kinds of beautiful men in beautiful and extravagant, over-the-top, flamboyant even clothing. He was Andrew Christian before there was an Andrew Christian. And every quarter, every 3 months, a new catalog would come out, and you would see these beautiful clothes. And if you were a teenager and you couldn't afford anything in it, you still enjoyed the International Male Catalog because it basically was your porn before porn.
So the pages were stuck together, huh?
You kind of figured it out.
I didn't need to think about Al's event. But you know, I love as a historian, or as my partner Patrick calls me, a Hurstorian. I love that. Very clever. He's very clever. I love films like these. Like, we need more about, because you know what it is too. It also created a look. Like, it gives us beauty standards. It helps us understand how certain ideas of what beauty looks like, right?
Yeah.
Kind of took shape. And along certain like middle class standards, along whiteness, and all these kinds of ideas. So it's a story about how we are also where we are today.
Yeah.
It's an origin story in some ways.
And I love documentaries.
Me
Like,
too.
you can get me with a documentary about anything. Like, honestly, I would sit there. And there's another documentary out for the OUTshine Film Festival that's called Lucky. Try to check it out, okay? So it's French, and it's about a 27-year-old one-armed gay model and dancer, right? And about his upbringing and about how he made it through his struggles.
Wow.
It's called Lucky, and I really want to see that as well. Documentaries, you got me. Documentaries about shoes. Make something like that.
You know, one other thing that I want to say about International Male This documentary is a wonderful reminder. For me, it'll be almost nostalgic to watch it, which I really appreciate. And the impact of the International Male Catalog, a Gen Z or a millennial really has little conception of how important this fashion catalog was. Two people, to give you in completely opposite camps, have talked about the importance of this. The first is Mike Ruiz, and Mike, internationally famous photographer. We did a story last night, and it's happening out about his 2023 calendar of muscles and mutts, and the dog catalog or calendar that he does. How influenced he was when he was younger about International Male. At the other end of the spectrum, the other person that was really influenced by the International Male catalog was RuPaul.
Right.
And before RuPaul was really RuPaul Charles, he's a man who's a bouncer in a bar in Atlanta, and his gayness is represented in the quarterly of the International Male. That's how important that was.
All right, let's continue.
Wait, did you forget where you were thinking about those pictures of International Male
I was
and
still
didn't
thinking about the
remember?
pages sticking together.
I needed half a reason. Untrue. It's so good to be in this space. We're all here, like when people are about to enjoy a film. It feels good. I feel the energy.
Wait, let's talk about that 1 second.
Yeah.
What do y'all think about, we're conversing all the time. There's politics of the world and the world's crashing in. Then we're talking about the bars on Wilton Drive or South Beach, and we're so obsessed with our social. We're sitting right between both of those. This is a cultural embracement. Are you excited about the idea that we're sitting in a cultural experience?
Yeah.
Yeah. It just feels good to be out and among people again. To build community is so important for us as LGBTQ+, especially at this time when we're under attack. Be able to be together as a community, be unapologetic about who we are, and to be visible.
And celebrate culture. And celebrate our
culture. Well, before we move on, Julio, to your story, does that mean that John can't be shamed anymore? That no.
Well,
I'll have to consider that. Yeah.
We love you, John.
Love you too.
Now let's queer up entertainment. Again, OUTshine Film Festival Ladies Spotlight Film and Party. The Five Devils, Friday, October 21st. OUTshine Film Festival 2022 has various categories that acknowledge LGBTQ+ films across the world. One of the categories is Lady Spotlight. This year's OUTshine Film Festival Lady Spotlight movie is The Fire Devils, and it's from France, directed by Leah Meises. The movie is a comedy fiction lesbian romance. The festival will hold only an in-person screening of this movie, so you gotta visit the theater in person and watch it and enjoy the party after that, no doubt. The screening will be held at Savor Cinema in Fort Lauderdale on October 21st at 7:15 p.m. and the party will be held at the Wilder. The movie revolves around Vicky, a strange and solitary little girl, who has a magical gift. She can reproduce any scent and collects them in a series of carefully labeled jars. Creative. She has secretly captured the scent of Joanne, her mother, for whom she nurtures a wild, excessive love. Is there excessive love? When her father's sister Julia bursts into their life, Vicky reproduces her smell and is transported into dark and archaic memories, which lead her to uncover the secrets of her village, her own existence, and the relationship between Joanne and Julia. The Five Devils is a visually and orally fascinating spectacle of memory, motherhood, unfulfilled desires, and a life put on hold. You will find the ticket out for the film on the OUTshine website. It's $35, and it includes the film followed by the after party at the Wilder. I'm really fascinated by this. I kind of find the premise to be really interesting and really exciting. And as somebody who lived in Western Massachusetts, even I'm a Miami boy, but I lived in Western Massachusetts for 10 years. And I taught at UMass Amherst. So I lived in Northampton, right across the street from Smith College, which is a historic queer space in a lot of ways, right, a women's space. And I learned how to jar. That was something we did. I would pickle a lot, and that is the kind of story of all of this kind of reminds me, it kind of even makes me nostalgic for
But what a cool superpower to have. Like, Marvel needs to jump on this. You know what I mean? Like, get a smell and put it in a jar. But here's the thing, not all smells are good.
No.
There are some smells that yeah, like that. I don't want to put that in a jar and save it forever. You know what I mean?
And if you're a superhero that depends on smell, what a terrible time to be alive. You're constantly losing your superpower.
True point. True point.
Faye, I'm curious. That was good, Ryan. I'm curious, Faye. For women at the OUTshine Film Festival, do women approach film in the same way that guys do? Or do you appreciate you don't speak for all lesbians, I know, but do women in our LGBTQ community, do they appreciate the film experience the same way that gay guys do, or any differences in how you do it?
I know you don't believe this, but we're human, just like your asses, right?
Good answer, Faye.
You know, it's all about representation, and we love to see ourselves. And it's something that, the stereotype that comes with being a lesbian is always that butch lesbian, and OUTshine really strives to give you like a nice array of differences when it comes to the lesbian culture. We all don't look alike. We all don't like sports. We all don't do this. We all don't do that. And I love that they really always hit on that. When it comes to black and brown women, they are always there front and center with movies that touch on that. When it comes to international films, they also do that as well. So I really do that. I really think that they really cater to us women, and the women do come out. And the women come from Miami up to the Fort Lauderdale, and they come from the Fort Lauderdale down to Miami for their film festival as well. That's how much we really love it.
Yeah. Everybody loves a lesbian potpourri, so thank you, OUTshine Film Festival.
Lesbian potpourri. Don't eat it.
Amen to that.
Don't eat it?
Never.
Only I eat it. Okay, we'll talk about that later. We'll talk
later.
All right, well, let's clear up entertainment. OUTshine Film Festival closing night, film, and party. The Shiny Shrimps strike back on Sunday, October 23rd. This year's OUTshine Film Festival will conclude with a special closing night film from France directed by Cedric Legallo, Maxime Bouvard, and a grand bash. The venue for the movie is going to be Savor Cinema in Fort Lauderdale. The closing film will begin on Sunday, October 23rd at 6 p.m. You can buy tickets from the OUTshine Film Festival's website event page. $35. The $35 ticket includes the film, The Shiny Shrimps Strike Back at Savor Cinema, followed by our closing night after party and award ceremony. The Shiny Shrimps Strike Back is a fiction, gay comedy, and a sequel to The Shiny Shrimps, which won the audience award was the audience award winner at OUTshine Fort Lauderdale in 2019. In the film, the Shrimps water polo team is heading to the gay games in Tokyo to honor a teammate who died. But after they miss their connection, they are stranded in homophobic Russia. Thus starts a crazy adventure that finds many of the Shrimps held hostage at a gay conversion camp, while the rest of the group plans their comical yet perilous rescue. While uproariously funny, the Shiny Shrimps Strike Back does not shy away from spewing Putin's Russia in all its homophobic glory. And the movie also has a few great musical numbers. The movie will be screened at the theater only. I don't know if you've seen the trailer to this movie, but the trailer features a musical number where they do a cover of Britney Spears' Oops, I Did It Again.
Yeah, I'm in.
I was hooked. It was wonderful. I cannot wait
Done.
to see this.
You spoiled it, and I love you for it.
I know. You have got
I love
to
that.
see
Now, Al said that there was an original, right? There was a Shiny Shrimps.
Yes.
Shiny Shrimps 1.
Yes.
this. Shiny Shrimps Strike Back.
And it's another sports film.
Yeah.
I
Don't
feel
get
these
too
are-
excited.
I'm very excited.
Less masculine than the rugby players, but definitely want to see this.
But how crazy is it, especially in the times that we're in, that, they're stuck in Russia, of all places.
Of all
Of
places.
all places in Russia.
The only thing that they could have added to the storyline is that they are drafted into the Russian army and then shipped off to Ukraine. That's the only
Maybe
thing.
that's the twist.
No, that'll be part 3.
Strike back again.
How lucky are we to live in a time right now when there is so much amazing, diverse LGBT cinema and media, from OUTshine Film Festival to...
Ryan, it's very interesting that you say that. Last year, at this opening night, the opening night film was at the Discovery IMAX Theater, just right around the corner. And they premiered a movie that I had never heard of called Firebird. And Firebird was about a Russian colonel in the 1980s as a fighter pilot. And the love story of, he's with his wife, but the love story of he has this secret relationship with a gay person that's trying to become a fighter pilot. The movie was absolutely spectacular. And I watched this movie. I get to meet lead stars from the film and the director, producer of the film. And it was absolutely outstanding. It wins the award in last year's Fort Lauderdale Film Festival for OUTshine. Then this last spring, all of a sudden I start reading everywhere about this fantastic brand new film called Firebird. And it's starting to make the rounds and it gets into theaters. And just this weekend, over this weekend, Netflix has a big hubbubaloo of this fabulous new film called Firebird. And I thought to myself, yeah, I watched that 1 year ago at the OUTshine Film Festival. And the reason I tell that story is so often what you hear about LGBT film festivals is that you can see it anywhere. No, you can't. The OUTshine Film Festival is showing original premieres in so many different ways, in so many different categories. So don't miss it here, because this is where you're going to see it. Or you're going to be telling my Firebird story in October of 2023.
Love that.
Filmmakers and actors deserve our support.
Right.
Yeah, we're, in addition to watching these great films, we're building community. Like, look at where we are. Look at, I mean, it's incredible.
Hey, we're not in Russia, right? We can watch any movie we want. We're very blessed.
Well, that is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show. Is our community important to you?
You know it is, so help us by liking and subscribing, ring the bell for updates, share the news with your friends and family, and come to the OUTshine Film Festival.
Yeah. Post this broadcast in the many groups that you are a member of. Tonight's stories about our community deserve the attention of your family and friends.
And Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support, though.
We are broadcasting Queer News Tonight from the NSU Art Museum in downtown Fort Lauderdale at the opening film and party of the OUTshine Film Festival. This is one of America's most important and best LGBTQ plus film festivals. And if you are in South Florida, there are going to be more than 65 films and events to participate in. Don't miss it. And our commitment to OUTshine is our commitment to our community. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these type of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. And that sounds a lot like film to me. That is the passion of Happening Out Television Network and Queer News Tonight. I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including FayWhat and John Hayden and Dr. Julio Capo Jr. and Ryan Hurst. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. Good night.
Hi, everyone.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.